Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Midweek Chat with Jasmine. I'm your host, Jasmine Bryant, your brand visibility coach who helps network marketers, coaches, speakers, and small business owners to get more visible, feel more empowered to be seen by your ideal clients, your ideal audience, your customers, the people who really want to know you so they can buy from you so you can have the life that you want. So, with that said, I'm super excited because today we have Katie with us, and she's a cast extraordinaire, and she's going to tell us how we can boost our visibility. I can't even speak today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Boost our visibility, boost our businesses through podcasting. So, Katie, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Jasmine.
Well, thank you for being here. This is one of the things that people ask all the time is, podcasting. What's the deal? Because everybody and their mother has a podcast. I'm about to join that group. Everyone has a podcast. Before I ask you why we want a podcast, tell us a little bit about yours.
Okay. I actually, do you mind if I back up 1 second?
Yeah, go back.
Because I love it when people say everybody has a podcast. And I say, that's not true. Everybody started a podcast. Not everybody has a podcast.
Yes. Words mean things. Absolutely.
Yes. Because that's one of the distinctions I make in what I help our clients create is the ability to consistently have a podcast, not start one and then let it go to the podcast cemetery where most podcasts live after 3 to 6 episodes.
Yeah, that's my fear. I have to tell you, that is my fear.
Well, I got you for that. Don't worry.
But tell us about Unforget Yourself and the profitable podcast system. Okay. What is it you do?
So Unforget Yourself is a business that my husband and I started before we were married. We became business partners. We launched our life essentially through Unforget Yourself, which is at its core, if I just say basically what it is, it's a mindset system he and I had created. It helped us stay afloat through major life changes. We created this system to then support other entrepreneurs like us. At its core, we say we help people do we swear on here or not?
You can do whatever. Hey, Suzanne was on here.
Oh, so. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, yeah. So at its core, people hired us to help them do the fucking thing they couldn't seem to do. They're like, I know I'm fully capable. I know how to do it. And so the system we created and the coaching we provide, the support we provide, help them do that. And the thing is, we had all this, we had tons of know-how, we had tons of experience. In fact, my husband had a marketing agency before he came to the US. He was a business owner for over a decade. I've been in corporate. I've run my own businesses as I mommed. We came to the table with plenty of know-how and experience, but this was a different beast launching Unforget Yourself. And Unforget Yourself led us to creating the profitable podcast system that we are focused on now. In order for Unforget Yourself to be successful, we leaned onto our podcast. We didn't plan on that. We thought we were going to make Unforget Yourself successful through very traditional marketing channels. We went into it with we invested a ton of money and time in programs to help us learn how to advertise, how to communicate our message, blah, 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 do all the things that if anybody has launched or attempted to launch a coaching program, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you haven't, yeah. You're probably lucky if you don't know what I'm talking about. What I mean,
it was some gray hairs if you don't.
Sweet Lord, yes. But our experience was pretty typical of a lot of other entrepreneurs, especially those in the coaching and consulting space. We poured all this time and money into it, and it didn't land. And I remember this moment. God, I feel like I was standing in my kitchen. So this is in my memory, this is where I was. And it was this moment of like down to my last bit on like my PayPal credit card for our ad spend. we had poured so much money into ad spend on this. And we were working with our second or third agency at this point. And I was like, please, God, let us be done testing and let this finally, we were barely breaking even at that point.
Mm.
We did not get the return we were hoping for that.
Oof.
I say that to say that led us to what the hell else do we do? And we had this podcasting approach that we hadn't launched yet because we were so focused on getting our ads going and trying to create organic content to support the ads, and then creating stupid videos that weren't really who we were, that were supposed to go into the ads.
Mm-hmm.
So we latched onto our podcast, and we started to use that as a means to grow our business. And once we did, we were at our sort of wit's end. We don't want people to get to their wit's end. Yeah. we were able to gain some traction and dig ourselves out of a hole. And then we grew our coaching business from one-on-one clients to group programs, which is pretty typical of what people set out to do. And then once we were going, our clients started to ask us, as they were going through our Unforget Yourself program, they loved how they came into our world through our podcast and wanted us to teach them how to do that same thing. Because while they were able to do the fucking thing and manage their shit now,
yeah.
Some of them still needed to figure out lead generation. They needed to figure out how to reach more people. They needed to figure out how to create connections, and hadn't done that part for their business yet, which is so important, because you have no business if you have no leads, if you have no sales.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I love about how you run your podcast. Your podcasts are lead generation tools. Yeah. And that's different than a lot of people. And that's different than how I was thinking about starting my podcast. It was going to be basically an extension of these midweek chats. I would talk to people and, have more visibility. They'd have more visibility. We'd share audiences and all of that. And you have that system is completely flipped in a different way, where your podcasts are making you money, not through advertising, but because you're getting qualified leads.
Yes. So this is where I always joke and say I have to do some brain rejiggering for people, because we have a different definition of podcasting. And maybe I need to say it in a way as I'm introducing a different perspective for podcasting, simply because, like you said, you have an immediate idea of what you mean when you say, I'm going to start a podcast. And for me, that is an expensive ass hobby for most people right now. Yeah. And if you're in business at more of the beginning stage, or the first few years of business, I'm even going to say the first 5 years, an expensive hobby is not something you have time or money for. I look at any effort during those first few years where you really need to, where you're establishing yourself and attempting to grow. Every activity needs to be leveraged so that your time and your money and your energy goes towards the growth necessary to support you, get you off the ground and get you thriving. So you're not just constantly spinning wheels.
Yeah.
So the way I have been introducing this lately is, if you think of podcasting in 2 stages, we see most people, and by we, I mean anybody who is a business owner and is thinking of their podcast as an extension or something to support their business, or something to get themselves out there. Mm-hmm. What you're seeing most of the time, if you're looking at those successful podcasts or common names out there that, where that's a podcast you probably listen to. That's great. Those are that works for them. They have an audience. They came to, most likely, those people that come to mind immediately came to podcasting with an audience.
Yeah. They're not trying to build one from scratch.
No. So their value that they're giving through their podcast is amazing. They already have the business foundation built to have clients coming in regularly. And so their podcast can be just like a full-on value give from this way, with a built-in audience there that supports all these other ways that we look at traditional podcasting. Beautiful. Well, separately, you have those podcasts that we listen to for entertainment that have great storytelling. They're edited in a fantastic way. They have all the things that make them a joy to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to introduce the concept of the phase one podcast, the podcast as a business tool that does what we just talked about, that provides a ton of value for your audience that you're just starting to build.
Yeah.
And also use it, it's a tool to connect you with potential clients, potential partners, and potential opportunities. And all that requires is a slight tweak in how you look at podcasting. And so that's what I teach. And that's the approach I take to podcasting.
It makes so much sense. I mean, when you and I talked about it, and you rejiggered my brain, because again, I was like, oh, well, I'll just go this, what I now realize is the slowest route possible to get to profitability. When if I think about who my guests will be and who I want my guests to be, then it's a much different ballgame. And so how do they start without the overwhelm? Like, how do they just say, okay, I'm going to have this podcast. I'm going to do this because I'm in business and it's right now, it's an expensive ass hobby and I need to make money, but I don't know what to do.
Right. So, I'm going to give 2 top of mind. I may add a third once I get going. But the first thing I would suggest is to lay off the idea that you have to have this amazing setup to immediately simplify. There is this crazy belief that you need to have this full-on setup, like podcasting studio. Maybe you need to reserve time in a studio because heaven forbid there be background noise. That you need to invest in some equipment that is, going to make sure that the quality of your audio is great. No, like, you can get a decent mic. I really should have written down the exact mic I have in front of me and how much it cost. I think it was less than $100. It's great. I've had it for a few years. Mark, my partner, my husband, has probably a little bit better one down in his space down in our office. But never have I complained about this. Yeah. There are plenty of people who are like, I better get that $1,500 Shure mic. That is, no, people chill. You even use your phone. Like, if you don't even have the $100 for a mic, just use your phone. I'm not telling this isn't advice that is like earth shattering, but I think it is perspective shifting in the way, if it's not a mic, it's something else. You're overthinking something that is unnecessary.
I was going to show you guys one of my cheapy mics that I use.
Yeah.
And I must be charging them because they're not in the little pouch, but it was $20 or something on Amazon. Yeah. And as a professional journalist, I was like, $25. That's a cheapy microphone, but it works really well. And it's Movo, which is a decent, this is wired. But it's a really decent microphone that plugs into my phone. So I can do stuff mobile without having like my big Yeti mic, which you can't see off camera here. Yeah. But and the Yeti mic was like $100 on sale. But like you said, you don't have to spend your child's college tuition on your studio.
Exactly. This is where it comes to my point earlier with this time and money versus where you're at. Do not show up as if you are, I don't know, every time I try to use an example, all podcasting names fall out of my head. But think of whatever big name comes to mind for you.
Like a Joe Rogan or a Club Shay Shay or so,
Yeah. Like that. Yeah. You do not need a Joe Rogan setup to begin with, because you are not Joe Rogan right now. Like, this is not a fake it till you make it point in business. Like, do what makes sense now. Again, time and energy and money. And like, think of it, use that equation for where you're at. Does it make sense right now No, you can get a great mic for low cost or none at all. You do not need all the platforms all over. Use Zoom for the love. Like, just use what you have to record your stuff, and it doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
People get so caught up in the need to edit instead of just recording your conversation and let it be a lovely conversation.
Yeah.
Pauses and all.
And it's authentic. It's who you are. You're not, people aren't really coming to you for this big, polished, hyper professional. This is my job. I am a professional podcaster. And even, the big podcasters who have teams, they still have flubs and missteps and misspeaks. And I mean, things happen, especially if you're, trying to do it live to tape, things happen. Just roll with it. It's how you recover.
Yeah, and my philosophy on that is it always is a way to connect with your audience more. It's as if they're listening into a conversation that you're having, and especially because most of the time you're going to be right in their ear holes through whatever they have inserted in there to listen to you. So this gives a feel of being part of the conversation. And really, if you come into it with the intent of desiring your guest and your audience to feel as if they're getting the opportunity to know you more, and you're connecting with them because you genuinely care and want to create that connection, that actually serves you better to have that point of view of, okay, I'm just going to let it be. I'm not going to insist on perfection and make it highly edited and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay, that was my 1 point. Now I've lost my.
Sorry.
Okay.
Took you down a rabbit hole, Katie.
Well, I'm like, I know I had 2 points, but now I lost what the question even was.
Well, we were asking what do people do when they're just starting so they can start without having all the overwhelm and, getting ready to get ready kind of a thing. Just,
okay. Yes. So you can launch very quickly. There's plenty of ways to do this simply. And in fact, if that's something I obviously don't have I'm not going to go into all of it now, but that's something that I'll share if anybody wants to connect. Gladly, I will share that. But the second thing is to look at your podcast, again, I've mentioned earlier, as a business tool, but it's in a way of connecting. Everybody's talking about networking and, the importance of it, blah, blah, blah. What better chance to network with somebody than to spend half an hour to an hour with them in conversation without the need for them to hop off to go to somebody else. For the next go through, as like you do with typical networking events. But this is a whole different ballgame. You're getting a chance to really know somebody and find out from that conversation what opportunities lie ahead. Are you guys a good fit to work together in the future? And all the different ways you could.
Yeah.
So when it comes from this place of genuine care and curiosity, it provides a beautiful opportunity for the two of you to be able to leverage the relationship you're creating. So, for example, not only have Mark and I have gained almost all of our clients through our podcast, but my VA, I have a VA because of this. I've gone on to speaking engagements because of this. You and I met inadvertently through this. My podcast led me to my friend Jen, who led me to Suzanne, who led me to you. And now we're in a business together.
Right.
Yes. And so the opportunities that come from the relationships you can build from an intentional conversation are fantastic. And even if you leave that conversation without something that you're going to venture onto together, going forward, you both have left with an amazing piece of content that you can use for the life cycle of your business. I'm like, what? Oh my God. How fantastic is that? Like, if you're going to invest your time in something and offer your time to somebody else, they get to also leave with such a gift.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. And the connections, connections are currency, as we know, and content is currency. So,
Mm-hmm.
so you spend some time and everybody wins.
Yeah.
And, maybe you've made a new friend. Maybe you've made a new business partner. Maybe you've learned something you didn't know before,
Mm-hmm.
and you've shared something that person didn't know before. Like, it's so symbiotic and so beautiful. I love it.
Yes. Do you mind if I go a bit on what you learn in these
Go ahead.
conversations?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's one of the other things is if you are somebody starting out and you're like, I do not understand, I don't know, email deliverability.
Mm-hmm.
Interview 3 email deliverability experts.
Yeah.
And you could spend, and yes, I would recommend hiring people to do stuff for you. I'm not
Yeah.
saying don't do that, but if you're in a position where that you can't do that right now, you can still gain a bunch of knowledge through the invitation to have a conversation with somebody on your podcast, and
Mm-hmm.
you learn from them,
Yeah.
and you're both gaining content that's going to be fantastic for your audiences.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. With that too, anybody you're talking to, it's like it's the most insane amount of market research you can do. It is, you're getting the exact language of people that you want to work with. And that typically needs to be done through surveys that are a pain in the ass to do, when
Mm-hmm.
you could capture all this information in a way more fun way.
Yeah. And you want to have fun.
Thank you. Yes.
I love fun.
Mm-hmm.
I want to
Yeah.
have a good time all the time.
Which is why I want to be picky too about your podcast. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't just have open the floodgates, have everybody on. Like, there's a process to
Mm-hmm.
how to invite people on, and then how to filter people through. So you're having conversations with people you actually enjoy having conversations with.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is nothing worse than talking to someone and you've committed to, 20 to 30 minutes, and 5 minutes in, you're like, oh my God, is it over yet?
We do not have that happen at all. And this is where like the mindset comes in with this too. Your podcast is your domain. It
Yeah.
is your place. It is your platform. You are the queen, the king of your kingdom. You get to say yes, no to people.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're offering this pedestal you're putting them on.
Yeah.
And so that's not the time to worry about somebody's feelings about, oh, I should let them come on because they asked to be on. So
Yeah.
there's some rejiggering too that I do around mindset when it comes to how we invest our time and our energy
Mm-hmm.
into our the efforts we put in our business, specifically through podcasting.
That's really important, because that honestly, I was doing summits, like 21-day summits, 30-day summits.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, 21 to 30 interviews with guest speakers. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of talking.
That is.
But, some people I didn't have the heart to say no to.
Mm-hmm.
And those people, I don't want to say they weren't great interviews, but they weren't pleasant.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I'm a professional, so I'm going to do what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't pleasant at all.
That's not fun. That is zero fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big hashtag dislike on that one.
Right.
So if you guys, listen to Katie, when you're doing your podcast, because you're going to have it profitable and boost your business, you need to have fun. You need to talk to people you want to talk to, not people who ask and just take them because, you're not Goodwill. You don't have to take every donation.
Thank you. Yes. Well, this pushes on our people pleasing buttons. Then, for those of us that have those tendencies,
Yeah.
this approach, well, anytime you're going to have some sort of approach where you invite other people in, we'll push on that. So there's an added benefit to that, because I can tell you, after over 2 years of doing this, I'm far less of a people pleaser than I was. I've learned to say no and not have to explain myself and all of that simply through this.
I love that. I love that. And that is a great place to end. I know that you were offering a consultation.
Yes.
Okay.
So Oh, go ahead.
So all your info is in the description of of these lives. So they can contact you through any of those channels, or is there something
Yes.
specific that you want?
I prefer Messenger on there because
Okay.
I will respond to that easier. That's on Facebook, but I know I have my email on there.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I think you had LinkedIn, Facebook, and one other.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say if I put it on there, you can connect me through, or you can connect with me through there, and I will respond and create a more focused, streamlined channel for communicating with me. I usually like to have here's the one way, but
I
order out this way. And I provide all those. I should say, yes, if you have the channel and can reach me, go ahead there, and then we'll move it somewhere where we can communicate more effectively. Yeah,
Okay.
it's intended to be, if you want to have a strategy session to go, okay,
Yeah.
God, I hate that term sometimes, strategy session, but it hits the nail on the head. If you are like, I've been thinking about a podcast and want to hash it out, I will happily have that conversation to go through your ideas and sift through, okay, what would it actually look like if your intent is to have your podcast actually grow your business.
Yeah, and I'm telling you guys, you want to connect with Katie. You really do, because she will blow your mind. If you've learned anything, and I know you did, if you have watched the past 26 minutes, you have learned something. You've learned a lot, but you'll learn even more once you talk to Katie, like one-on-one. So you definitely want to do that.
Thanks, Jasmine.
You are so welcome. Before we go, I have a shameless plug. But I can do that because it's my show. But,
Yes, you're the queen of your queendom here. You do
right?
whatever the fuck you want.
So I am in the running to be on the cover of a magazine and win $40,000, which is insane, and a spa vacation, which I need that. My muscles are kind of like, oh. So
Yeah.
I'm going to drop in the link. There's only, oh my God, voting ends tomorrow. So it's a popularity contest, really. But it's the Fab Over 40. And I'm in the top 15 right now. Number 2 in my group, but I want to make it to the next round.
Yeah.
So
So
fingers
vote
crossed.
for you.
So
Yes.
please vote for me. You can vote once every 24 hours. But yeah, and also the contest raises money for the National Breast Cancer Foundation. So it's also for a good cause, not just so that I can be on a magazine cover.
I mean, I think that's a good enough cause,
But
but I
it would.
won't discount.
Thank you, thank you. It would be pretty awesome to win that. I have to say.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Katie, for sharing all your knowledge and chatting with me. And you guys, let us know what questions you have. Pop them in the comments when you're watching the replay. Connect with Katie so that she can, drop some more knowledge on you and get your podcast profitable. And you don't have to be one of those people who starts a podcast and then lets it die and get buried in the podcast cemetery.
Yes. I love that so much. It's so funny.
Thank you guys. I'll see you